QuickBooks Online 2021, adding and organizing account numbers. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Online 2021. Here we are in our QuickBooks Online accounts numbers practice file. We set up the practice file in a prior presentation. We then set up our chart of accounts to be practicing with. That's down here in the accounting's information. And then we're in the chart of accounts. We then added some numbers just so we can see some numbers in our accounts as we then populate them for the financial statements. You don't need these numbers in order to see the chart of accounts, of course, but if you want to then record the financial statements with them, then you can use these numbers in order to do so. To turn on the account numbers, we went up top to the cog up top. We went into the account and settings system. Then we're in the advanced area on the left-hand side. So we went into advanced on the left-hand side. Advanced area, and then we went to the chart of accounts and we turned on the accounts. So the accounts numbers are now on, and you have to do that in order to have the account numbers available because they are not on by default. Then we're going to close up the hamburger up top. Now we have our accounts. Now, unlike the desktop version, which kind of gives you the accounts that they suggest into starting point, we don't have any accounts here, which is kind of nice because then you can start from scratch and just simply add exactly the account numbers that you want, rather than basically having to adjust possibly account numbers that have already been put in place. As we add account numbers, there's a couple ways you could do it. You can go account by account and then edit it. We can go to the editing feature and we have the account number field here, which is not there if you were not to turn on the account numbers. Now it's available to us, which is great. Closing that back out. There's also a great feature online, whereas you could just hit this little pencil right here, and that gives you the ability to add the account numbers right in the chart of accounts a lot more quickly. And that, again, that's really good. I don't believe that's available on the desktop version, and that could make the setting up of your accounts a lot easier. Note, you could also, create your chart of accounts outside of QuickBooks Online, possibly in Excel or something like that, possibly save it as something like a CSV type of file, an Excel spreadsheet type of file, and that could be easier as well. We might go into that in a little bit, but the fact that you, in a future presentation, not now, but the fact that you have this pencil to make the adjustment is pretty nice within the system. Now, what we're going to do is then think about, well, how we're going to set up the account numbers. Now, you don't have to, it's not like there's a set rule to setting up the account numbers, but what you want to do is set them up in such a way that you have the ability to grow. So, in other words, you do not want to set up the account numbers just 1, 2, 3, 4 on down, because then when you set up another account that you want to add in the future and you want to put it between account 1 and 2, you're going to start doing things like account number 1.5 and this and that, and that's not good. Also, you want the account numbers to kind of give you an indication of the groupings of accounts just by looking at the account numbers, meaning is it an asset, is it a checking account, is it a liability account, just by the looking up the account numbers. So, and it kind of defeats the purpose then if you add account numbers and then when you have growing pains in the future, you're getting bigger and you need to add more accounts, that you have to redo your whole account number system. You don't want to do that. You want to set up an account number system that will grow with you as you grow. So we're going to look something like this. You could set it up in a different way. We're using 5-digit account numbers here. You may, be fine with 4-digit account numbers and whatnot. But we'll go with this system. Now, the general rule here, and this is somewhat standardized, meaning all the asset accounts we're going to say start with a 1. Now, we're going to have subcategories within the asset account for bank accounts and accounts receivable type accounts and so on. But we're just going to, in general, all the assets start with a 1. All the liabilities start with a 2. Again, we're going to have some more groupings within the types of liabilities, but you could just say if it's a 2, it's going to be a liability account. Equity accounts, we're going to say start with a 3. And then the income accounts start with a 4, cost of goods sold start with a 5, and then the expense accounts start with a 6. And then if you have other income, 7, other expenses, 8, and then non-posting, 9 if necessary. We're not even going to get into non-posting stuff down there. And then within those categories, we're going to say the bank accounts, which is a subcategory of assets, are going to go from in our case, 10,000 to 10,999. Accounts receivable, 11 to 11,999. Now note that obviously these are a whole lot of accounts. You're not going to have that many bank accounts. You're not going to have that many accounts receivable. You might only have one accounts receivable account, right? So there's a lot of room there, and you could probably get away with four digits rather than 5. But in any case, then we got the other current assets, which we're going to go from 12,000 up to 14,999, which again is a whole lot of space, because although there'll be more other current assets possibly than accounts receivable, probably not that much more, right? So the amount of groupings between the one series number, between the asset series, you could adjust to some differences here if you want. And then fixed assets is going to go from 15 to 17,999, and then other assets 18 to 19,999, and then the liabilities are going to start with a 2. So we're looking at the accounts payable. We're going to restrict it a little bit more here, and notice the accounts payable, again, you shouldn't have a lot of them. So the 20,000 to the 20,499, and then the credit card, which is another special type of account for accounts receivable because you could have bank feeds with it. So although it's just another other current liability, we'll give it a special account range, 25 to 2699. Other current liabilities, 2,700 to, and then I'm going all the way up to 25,999, which again is a whole lot of space. Long-term liabilities, 26,000 to 29,999. You're probably not going to have a whole lot of them, so that's a lot of space. But the point is, we want to then get up to the equity, which we want to start with a 3, because that's kind of standard, somewhat standard. 3 to 39999. There's not going to be a whole lot of equity accounts, so that's a lot of space. And then income from 4 to 4,999, which should be good for the income because you usually have less income accounts. Cost of goods sold, 5 to 5,999. We're not going to have a whole lot of cost of good type of accounts, so that should be a whole lot of space. Expenses, the 6 to 6,999. Now this is an area where you might say, maybe I can use more than that, but really, even with a pretty large amount of expenses, that's still a lot of room there. And then the other income accounts, meaning the items on the bottom, 7 to 7,999, you shouldn't need a whole lot of room here. So you could make this category longer and this one a little shorter. And same with other expenses. There's not going to be a whole lot going on down here. So you could make these two categories a lot shorter and then make this one possibly longer, and then non-posting. So let's go in and then add these. And so if I go in here and just start adding these, I'm going to add the pencil and just start to go through these. Now the first category is 10,000. You could start with 10,000, but you probably want to start with like 10,1 and just get in the habit of leaving space. So I'm going to start with 10,1, not just the 10,000, in case I put another account that I want to be before this one for whatever reason, right? So you want to get in the habit of kind of leaving space. You might not need all that much space. You could make it, like 10, put a 1 over here. But I would leave a little bit more space than that. So I'd say like 10,1, and then give a lot of space as you can. That's what you want to be thinking about when you add the account numbers. How much space do I want to be putting between these? Then we got the accounts receivable type of account, 11,000. So again, you might want to say this is going to be 11,1, just in case you have another accounts receivable you want to put before it. Unlikely to happen, but I'll get in the habit of leaving that space. Now I'm in other current assets, where I have the 12 to the 14. So I'm going to say like 12,1 here, and then I'll say I could go to like 12,2, or maybe I want to give more space if I need it. I could say like 12,5, but I'm going to call it 12,2. And then I got a whole lot of space between these two. I got 100 accounts that I could add if I wanted to between those two, right? And so that's what I'm trying to gauge here. Then at prepaid expense, it's also another current asset. So I'm going to say 12,3, uncategorized, I'm going to say 12,4, and then undeposited funds, 12,5. And so there we have that. Now we're on the fixed assets. Fixed assets, we said start with the 15. So again, I'm not going to start at 0. I'm going to say 15,1, and then and this is where this comes into play, because I would like this one to be up top first. So this one I'm going to put at 15,1, and this one is going to be connected to it. So I might say this is going to be 15,2 or something like that. Or I might, and it kind of depends on how you're going to group your fixed asset type of accounts. Do you want them to have a subcategory, like this is furniture and fixture, and then I have accumulated depreciation related to it directly? Or if I have multiple fixed asset accounts, furniture and fixture, building, and so on and so forth, do I want multiple accumulated depreciation accounts tied to it directly? Or do we want just like one lump sum accumulated depreciation? But I'll keep that where it is. And then we got the other Other assets, which is going to be 18. So once again, I'm going to say goodwill, say 18.1 on that one. And then we're on the liabilities, the accounts payable, 2,000, 20,000. So I'll say 20,001. It's probably the only accounts payable we're going to have, but I'll leave a little space on it just in case. And now we're in the other current liabilities. So other current liabilities are the 20,007. So other current liabilities, I said 20,007 to 25. So, well, credit cards, we don't have any credit cards yet, but okay. 27,007, 20,000, so I'll say 2750. And then that's other current liabilities. Then long-term liabilities, we said were 26, so I'll say 26.1 here. And then the equity accounts, so now we're in on the equity, which are the 3,000 ones. So I'll say this is going to be 30100, and then 30200, and then 30300, and then this is equity 30400. So now I'm into the income accounts. Income accounts, we said were in the 4,000 or 40,000. So I'm going to say 40,100. And maybe notice this one has a B first, but maybe I want the sales first. So this is where I can make some adjustments within this category, right? I could say I want this one to be 4100. And I want then this one to be 40200, and then this one to be 40300, and then maybe this one 40400. So that should kind of reorganize it within that category. And then we've got the cost of goods sold, where we said 50,000. So I'm going to say this is 50,100. And 50,200. Okay, and then we've got our other kind of expenses. Now this is where you kind of have a lot more leeway. You might want to, it's in order by alphabetical order if I didn't have any numbers, but maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want to go through your expenses and kind of put the most important one by the highest expense on top or something like that. So these are going to be, so maybe if I went through these, I'd say, well, if I look at this, some of my larger expenses, I might want first. So I might say like the rent, maybe I want that first at like a 60100. And then I might say that my supplies, let's say 60200. And then we might say that legal or the truck, let's say is going to be 60300. And then we're going to say advertising 60400, and then 60500, and then contractors 60600, and then possibly insurance 60700, job supply 60800, legal and professional 60900, and then other, that should probably be on the bottom, 609, let's say 61000, and then we're going to say, let's say 61100, 61200, 61300, and then let's say 61400, 61500, 61600, and 61700, 61800, 61900, and then 6200, 62100, and then 62200, something like that. I can go ahead and if I save that, so there we have it, and then I'm going to scroll through these. So, and this one I'm missing a number here. I think I need to make it one more digit there. So obviously I added those kind of quickly, but that's where you have a little bit more control. And now if I go into like within the expense category, it's not ordered by alphabetical order anymore, but driven by the account numbers. So you can have more control over that with the use of the account numbers on where things are going to be lined up. And then when we add more accounts, you'll have more control over that as well. Now let's add the last kind of categories that or some of these, this interest, for example, you might want that on the bottom as opposed to a normal expense. You might want it underneath. So if I'm editing this one and I'm going to say it's not going to be an expense, let's make it an other expense. And that's where these categories come in. If it's an other expense, I'm going to put it at the 80,000. So then I would want to make it like 80,100, save it and say okay. And then now it's down here basically at the bottom here, right? So at the bottom. And so now if I run the reports, let's check out some reports. I'm going to right click on the tab, duplicate it, right click on the tab again and duplicate again. And let's take a look at some reports now that we have added the account number. So we'll go to the reports on the left-hand side, reports on the left-hand side. Let's open up first the P&L, profit and loss, the income statement. So income statement type of report, scrolling up, range change from 010120 to 123120. Run that report. And I close the hamburger, hold control, scrolling up. And there you have it. So now we've got our order in here, and we've got the account numbers obviously giving us a little bit more control in terms of the ordering. It's not ordered by basically the account alphabetical order, but by order of the account numbers. And you could see that 80,000 down here because it's in the other expenses category. If I go to the next tab on over, go to the reports down below, and we take a look at our balance sheet. So let's go up and open the good old balance sheet. Range change that one up top from 010120 to 123120 and run that, closing up the hamburger. Once again, you can see our account numbers populating. It has a little bit less effect or control here because we have less accounts and on a lot more kind of categories. We don't have that long expense category, but we still within these categories have that control to basically order the accounts as we want. And this furniture and fixture, or this fixed asset, is one of the big ones because the accumulated depreciation will be on top if we don't do this. For example, if I go back to the first tab and I add a number to the accumulated depreciation here, let's just go on down to accumulated. I called it accumulated amortization. It should be depreciation. Let's edit this account. Let's say it's going to be accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation. And then I'm going to save it. And okay. And then let's add something to that account. So I'm going to go down and say we're in the fixed assets. Let's go to the register. And I'm just going to add a journal entry to it on 011521. And we're going to say, I think it has to be a decrease here, even though that's kind of seems backwards. So it's 10,000, let's say. And the other side going to depreciation. Let's say depreciation expense. And let's add that category. I'm going to say depreciation expense is going to be somewhere in the 60 area. We're going to say that that's going to be 6250. Note that I'm setting this account up as a bank account as opposed to an expense account. That's going to cause us a problem, and we'll see how the account numbers will kind of mess that up. So I'm going to continue with this as a bank account. It's wrong. It should be an expense account. So 62500, let's just say. And depreciation, I'll add that. And we'll save that. So now if I go back on over and refresh this report, then we have, and let's end this at 123121, run that report. Then we have the accumulated depreciation underneath it. And this is an area, again, it would be backwards if it was just simply in alphabetical order. We want the fixed asset on top and then the accumulated depreciation. If we then go to the second tab over here, and I was going to look for the depreciation, but I set it up with the wrong account type. So let's go back to the first tab, and that kind of gives us our example of the problem that the account numbers can fix or can cause, right? So the account number over here, you can see this 6250 is wrong. That doesn't make any sense. We could sort it by account number, but really it helps us not to, because over here it says it's a cash or bank type of account. And it shouldn't be, because it's depreciation. It should be an expense type of account. So that kind of gives us an indication that it's wrong. I'm going to go over here and say, let's edit it. I'm going to edit that account, and then I'm going to make it an expense type of account, the proper account, and then save it. And that should pull it down to where it should be, which is going to be down here in the expense area. I'm also going to adjust that transaction that we put in place to put it in place as of 2020, because I think most of our data is in 2020. So I'm going to go into the used register here. And this transaction that we placed, I'm going to make it 2020 instead of 2021. And then I'm going to save that. So then if I go to my income statement and run it for 2020, 01/01/20 to 12/31/20, and run that report, then we'll have our depreciation that's going to show up down here, once again ordered by the account numbers.